Oh, hi. It's now time for our next case in the conspiracy. This is number 23.
The new law goes into effect immediately. Go to the law. Follow the news. Another bill signed into law today requires drivers to keep a 3-foot distance.
I lost my heart in Xerda.
It goes into effect July 1st. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 28 cyclists have been killed in the state between 2006 and 2015. Hawaii is now the 36th to keep cyclists safe.
Matthew, this cult operating in Old Town is getting more and more worrying. We know the cult believes that the satellite under the dome is some divine messenger, and that its followers are encouraged to give up their worldly possessions in exchange for receiving this divine wisdom. It'd be bad enough if it was just a money-making scam, but Gabriel going undercover with them has shown us that they won't stop there. They've got something big planned. Chief, the cult will have to wait. We just got a call from Bruno Camper, that archaeologist we met during the murder on the dig. He says there's been another murder in the Xerdan ruins. Someone left a body in an ancient sacrificial chamber full of centuries-old skeletons. Then what are you waiting for, Matthew? You and Jones need to get over there straight away. You want us to go? But all those skeletons... I mean, yes, Matthew's right. We'll investigate that sacrificial chamber at once.
When I came out of school into construction was pretty easy, because I'm from a major.
A major in accounting, a choice he says helps seal the deal.
The private companies come to you to kind of recruit you, so before you even graduate, you've already signed a contract.
But others aren't as lucky as Nico.
It was a bit hard at times. It was a bit frustrating as well.
Nikki Lay has a degree in history. She's been struggling to find her fit.
Considering that I spent all this time and all this effort into something that I enjoy to find a job that I couldn't really pursue it.
Oh, I can see the stiff.
Working jobs outside her degree. Now she feels she's forced to look beyond the 808.
Spaces in Hawaii, at least in my field, are so limited, so that there's really no other choice but to move over to the mainland.
Wendy Sora is the director of the Career Center at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. She says sometimes it's not where you look for jobs, but how.
The jobs are there. Maybe the jobs are there. And I think it's just a matter of individuals or job seekers being able to present their best self for it. Not just their degree in hand, but all the experiences that they can present.
Island News. Local cab companies are not happy with their decision on surge pricing.
Coming up on Island News at 10 tonight, industry executives tell us the controversial call to veto Bill 35 will affect
Another 10,000.
Our Kiki are wise, sir, and we've kept them safe with the toughest gunners in the nation.
David Egan was the first governor.
Matthew, as if this place wasn't creepy enough, there's a dead body right on that altar.
Stalkers, harassers, and the seriously mental.
And are you seeing what I'm seeing? It looks like this woman's heart. This woman's heart's been cut out. Why do you think I called you? I turned out to work and there she was, laid out on an altar that's thousands of years old. I can't have a corpse compromising the integrity of such an important historical site. I need to examine the damage right away. You'll do no such thing, Mr. Camper. This is an active crime scene. We'll need to talk to you in a minute. What's that, Matthew? You want me to take a closer look at the body? Ah, you're right. There's an ID card in the victim's pocket. Her name's Kayla Markham. That doesn't ring a bell. Unlike this box, which clearly bears the cult's markings. We better unlock it and see what it's doing here. Matthew, we don't yet know if this is a simple murder or some kind of ritual, but we better find out.
Claim for disability benefits has been denied. I'm Attorney Danielle Beaver. Don't give up. Attorney Frank Urey and I help people turn their denials into approvals. Social Security disability is all we do.
Okay. And which one will I do with this
855-37-9181.
I'll do the locked box.
Special mahalo to all of our customers for making us Hawaii's #1 Chevy dealer. We've remodeled our showroom, our service and parts department, plus brought J&R into a lot of properties, all to better serve you and improve your experience. J&R Chevrolet.
14411.
It defines Hawaii. It's theater. It's a lifestyle. And it's people like you.
41741.
Now, nothing matters more to us than your family, your home,
Okay.
our state.
44712. That's 8. Energy coming my way. You unlocked that box with the cult's markings on it, Matthew. But what's that stuff inside? It looks like ash. Recovering whatever was written on the lid should shed some light on this. I agree. This is where I will be collecting some stars. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay, I have all stars collected. So, let's see what this is. Here lies Stephen Crow's former self. Five. The inscription on the lid reads, "Here lies Stephen Crow's former self." What the heck, Matthew? These ashes apparently belong to Stephen Crow, the leader of that shady cult, the Higher Truth. He's not dead, though, so what on earth are these ashes from? And what was he doing down here in the first place? You're right. This gives us enough reason to talk to Mr. Crow without his cronies trying to stop us. Let's go. See what he has to say. Mr. Crow, can you explain how this box of yours ended up in a restricted part of Xerda? Restrictions do not apply to those of us who follow the Higher Truth, Senior Trooper Matthew. The Higher Truth leads us to where others cannot easily go. I visit that chamber to follow in the footsteps of those who passed before me. To make a sacrifice, you mean? In a manner of speaking, I go there to burn depictions of my likeness. Doing so allows my spirit to be reborn from the flames. That explains the box. Does the name Kayla Markham mean anything to you, Mr. Crow? She was murdered in the very chamber you used to be reborn. That name means nothing to me, but I will not mourn this woman's death, Senior Trooper Matthew. The Higher Truth has a plan for us all.
Not just another beer. You down the highway when the guy in front slams on his brakes out of nowhere. You do too, but not in time. Hey, no big deal. You got a good record, and Liberty Mutual won't hold a grudge by raising your rates over one mistake. You hear that, Karen? Liberty Mutual doesn't hold grudges. I'm mature now.
For drivers with accidents, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident. Liberty stands with you.
Now, let's see what Bruno Camper has to say now. Mr. Camper, we found an ID on the body. The woman's name was Kayla Markham. Does that sound familiar? No, but I'm less interested in who she was. I'm more interested in how she got down here. Access to this chamber is supposed to be limited to professionals and people on guided tours. It's bad enough that we have tourists traipsing around the place at all, but now they're breaking in and dying here. Once again, I had to put my research on hold because a woman got herself killed. It's unbelievable. Clearly, your priorities are as misplaced as ever, Mr. Camper. Don't go far. Our encounter with Mr. Camper was as delightful as always, Matthew. He raised a valid point, though. What was our victim doing down here? Good thinking. Both Kayla and her killer must have passed through the entranceway. We need to take a look up there.
And it's getting in the way of our time together. I I've tried different products, but everything was too loose. I didn't even want to go out anymore. But with new sizes, the Penny Fit Flex underwear feels tailored to me. They feel so comfortable and ready to be a family again. Introducing more sizes for better comfort. New Penny Fit Flex underwear.
Hold on.
For $49, or 2 progressives for $89.
Sorry guys, ran out of phone time.
Vision Works, we're here to help you. Patrick Sullivan. Irish. Never heard of him.
He seems to have that effect.
I think I see our two clues.
To your face.
Well, would you believe a sailing accident?
No.
It's the truth.
Pile of artifacts.
More the truth of it ended you with this.
You've been spending too much time with Detective Benson.
1 second only.
A creative imagination, but no proof.
This is different. We have an eyewitness.
Oh, you have a great face.
Matthew, have you found anything our killer might have dropped while fleeing the crime scene? You want to look for that pile of Xerda artifacts. Just be careful not to damage anything. After that fabric, putting it back together might provide a lead.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Picked you out of a photo array.
A lot of girls look like...
We got you for fraud. It's only a matter of time before we had murder.
We'll see.
You are so
Thank you.
Gonna get the rest of the stars, so sit tight, folks.
What can I tell them?
Okay, I've gotten all stars. I have 21 total. Even though I did have enough from the beginning, I decided to do so right away.
But you didn't call anyone, did you? Tried to stop her. Isn't the real reason you didn't call the police because you knew Mr.
Maybe one of these days I'll be
Of course he was.
unlocking the... Maybe one of these days I'll be getting every single star. Matthew, there was a bloody knife among those artifacts. You're right. It's no coincidence that knife ended up here. Our killer must have dropped it as they ran away from the murder. Let's get it to the lab.
Speculation.
Sustained. Mr. Sullivan never molested you, did he?
3 hours.
I don't know what to say. Just answer the question, mistrust. Patrick Sullivan and other lovers. April, what are you doing? It's Dylan. I'm so sorry to bother. I can't laugh at him anymore. So, Mr. Sullivan,
Follow me.
always consensual.
Your Honor, I have the death.
Did your mother know about the affair?
This flag reads, "Follow me." Where have we seen this before, Matthew? Oh, right. Laura Crosby had a flag like this. She's our tour guide you met while we were investigating that murder at the museum. If Laura was down here giving tours, she might have seen something which could aid our investigation. Let's speak with her.
And she made me say that back over and over. And the bruises on her face.
Hello again, Senior Trooper Matthew. Have you finally decided to take one of my tours? Afraid not, Miss Crosby. We're here to ask you about this woman, Kayla Markham. Do you know her? Sure. Kayla took part in a tour of the sacrificial chamber a few weeks back.
What was I supposed to
I remember her because she noticed the picture of my cat on my phone. We got talking and she said she wished she had time to own one herself.
That's it. Officer, remove the jury.
Can I ask what this is all... Can I ask what all this is about, detectives? We found Kayla murdered in the sacrificial chamber. Her heart had been cut out of her chest. Kayla's been murdered? How awful. I wish I could help, but I can't fathom what she would have been doing back there. That's what we'd like to know too, Miss Crosby. Thanks for your time.
April came home that night and told me that she'd
And I'll see you guys when these two are done. See y'all then.
Politicians, dishonest.
Okay, folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the victim's body. I've met some heartless people in my time, Matthew, but never literally. Very funny, Martine. What have you got on that body Matthew sent you? The cause of death was blood loss, which occurred as your killer cut her heart out. Unfortunately, I don't know why the killer removed her heart. It might have been some sort of Xerdan sacrifice, but there's no way to tell for sure. I can tell you two things, however. Firstly, I found traces of chloroform around your victim's nose and mouth, which means that your killer must have knocked Kayla out with the chemical before killing her. At least she was unconscious during her ordeal, but you said you'd learned two things. What was the other? Well, I examined your victim's chest wound, and judging by the angle of the incisions, your killer's dominant hand is the right hand. So we're looking for a right-handed killer, eh? They'll regret taking the law into their own hands once you catch them, Matthew. Bloody knife now. Matthew, first off, you'll be glad to know that the blood on this knife belongs to your victim. So this knife is definitely our murder weapon. Yes, a nice sharp blade, definitely sharp enough to cut someone's heart out with. Unfortunately, your killer was smart enough not to leave any DNA on the weapon, but they did make one mistake. Your killer must have been trying to give themselves some Dutch courage because they spilled some whiskey on the blade. So our killer drinks whiskey, do they? They'll be needing a stiff drink before they appear in front of the judge, Matthew. Well, Matthew, it's not every day that we find a body in an ancient sacrificial chamber. I get chills just thinking about that place. We discovered Kayla Markham dead on an altar with her heart cut out. Was her death supposed to be symbolic, like some kind of sacrifice? Right now, we can't tell. Archaeologist Bruno Camper reported her murder, but said he had no idea who she was. And cult leader Stephen Crow also denied knowing the victim, but we have proof he was on the crime scene. The only person who remembers her is Laura Crosby. The victim took one of her tours of the sacrificial chamber a few weeks ago. So we know Kayla visited the chamber, but how she ended up dead, there is a mystery. We must learn more about her if we're to solve this case, Matthew. Then you're going to love what I'm about to tell you, Matthew. I know who your victim really was. I'll see you guys for Chapter 2. Okay, we're going to start Chapter 2 of I Lost My Heart in Xerda. I know exactly what your victim was doing, Matthew. There was an arrest warrant out for Kayla. She was a tomb robber. What? Our victim was one of those people who steal artifacts from graves? Yes, Kayla was suspected of robbing a number of high-profile tombs across the world. She must have been doing the same here. What's more, her modus operandi is always the same. She sells the stolen artifacts to local antique stores. Just like the shop here in Old Town, it's become the go-to place to buy Xerdan artifacts. Do you remember that antique store, Matthew? It's where I bought that lovely deer head clock the last time you were here. But you're right. If there's a chance the victim sold her stolen goods to that store, we need to find proof. Let's go.
Something special every day.
There we go. Faded logbook. Wallet. That's another clue. Incense burner. Cat. Lighthouse. And the windmill. Where the heck?
About the operation Bill Kessler had.
There we go.
Is the man asleep?
I think so.
And what about the parts they put on? Do they test them first?
Matthew, judging by the initials on that wallet, it belonged to our victim. That means she definitely came here. Taking a look inside her wallet might prove useful, I agree. And now we need to figure out whether anybody actually bought her stolen artifacts. And the store's logbook should provide us with the answer. Can you recover the faded writing, Matthew?
I don't know, Rose. I just want to forget the whole incident. It's been a terrible night and I am very upset.
You mean because Bill dropped out of the election and Blanche hates us?
No, I'm upset because they haven't rerun the Facts of Life goes to Australia.
Let's do everything.
I'd be surprised if Blanche never speaks to us again.
She certainly had every reason not to. We did a terrible thing. I'm leaving her. Well, we might as well get used to the fact that she's going to be mad at us for a long, long time.
Hi, girl. How you doing? Hey, Blanche, aren't you mad? No, Lord. Oh, you're terrible. You should stay mad at us for a long, long time. You should make us grovel, eat dirt, beg for forgiveness. Give us the silent treatment.
Rose, if you give us the silent treatment, I will eat dirt.
I couldn't say no.
Here we go.
I didn't take it and I realized
Only 2 energy, but that's alright.
you all were.
Matthew, you uncovered the writing in the store's logbook, but there's way too much info for us to comb through. If anyone can scrutinize this logbook to find out whether any illegal artifacts exchanged hands, it's Ramirez. Let's send it to him.
Story, you know, so you embellish it, adding shading and color and hot tub.
Oh, 6 hours, okay. Man, I should have done this earlier in the day. Otherwise, I'd be uncovering this right now.
Have a hug and forget this ever happened. You bet we can.
Nice. Hey, that's Ray Parker. We found a photo in our victim's wallet, Matthew. Wallet, Matthew? That's clearly our victim as a teenager. But is that the chief's husband with her? Matthew, what was Ray Parker doing with our victim? Did he know her before her tomb robbing days? Let's see what Mr. Parker has to say for himself.
True. He had a twin brother.
Right? Senior Trooper Matthew, what a surprise. I was just about to have my weekly glass of whiskey. May I offer you one? We're past, thanks. Mr. Parker, we're investigating the murder of Kayla Markham, and we came across this photo. Kayla's been murdered here in Grimsboro? I didn't even know she was in town. How did you know Kayla, Mr. Parker? She's my sister's daughter. My sister died in a tragic fishing accident when Kayla was a child. I tried to be a good uncle to Kayla. I took her to museums, taught her fishing, and instilled a strong moral compass in her. A strong moral compass? Then how did Kayla end up robbing ancient tombs? Kayla was a thief? Surely you must be mistaken. I'm afraid not. There are arrest warrants out for your niece in several countries, Mr. Parker. I had no idea, Senior Trooper Matthew. As a historian, I am appalled to my very core. Matthew, I can't believe the chief's husband is a suspect in yet another investigation. The chief won't be pleased. Anyway, Mr. Parker seemed genuine when he said he didn't even know Kayla was in town, let alone that she was robbing tombs. And well spotted, Mr. Parker was holding his whiskey glass in his right hand. I'll add it to his profile. Okay, that's 2 coins to share. And you know what? I might be having a little bit of a surprise on this, but we'll see what happens. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Well, I got the rest of the stars, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for 12. Since I would have been ahead by then, but that's okay. What did you find in the antique store's logbook, Ramirez? The owner of the store was definitely involved in something shady. I compared the purchase and sale orders to the inventory. And the store has way more Xerda artifacts than it should. The majority are totally unaccounted for. So the antique store was definitely buying stolen Xerda artifacts? Did they come from our victim? They must have. There's only a handful of active tomb robbers in the world, and Kayla was the only one known to be in Grimsboro. Then I think it's time we had a word with whoever owns the store these days, Matthew. That'd be Hazel Galloway. She's been running the store since her father, Desmond, retired. Well, let's confront this Hazel about buying stolen goods from our victim.
Sponsored by American Savings Bank.
I wanted to bring back the spirituality of wine design and share it with you.
Detectives, how may I help you? Can I interest you in an accent piece for your living room, perhaps? We're not here to buy anything, Miss Galloway. We know you're dealing in illegal Xerda artifacts stolen by Kayla Markham. Oh no. I knew this day would come. I just didn't realize it'd be so soon. The truth is, Kayla came to me with a deal that I couldn't refuse. People aren't content with buying ugly 70s side tables anymore. They want something more exotic. Kayla swore to me she could smuggle artifacts out of Xerda without getting caught, and that my sales would rocket. But if you're here, I guess she did get herself caught. Not exactly, Miss Galloway. Kayla's been murdered. She's dead? That's horrible. Indeed. And not only are you now a suspect in her murder, we're also taking you into custody for the illegal trade of Xerda artifacts. When we found the victim's body in that chamber, I never would have imagined she was pillaging its valuables and selling them to the store, Matthew. Clearly, we need to learn more about her. Let's re-examine that site outside the sacrificial chamber. Destroyed mall. Destroyed wall, rather.
Earlier this week, he promised a new bill.
Torn clock. Sign. Phone. Caution tape and cell phone. 3 seconds.
Utilities Commission today seeking approval to start phase 1 of its grid modernization plan. That would involve 5 islands and and it's designed to give customers more choices. It includes a long-term online mobile.
Matthew, that torn cloth stinks of chloroform. We know that our killer used chloroform to knock Kayla out before the murder. This cloth must be what they used to do it. Putting the pieces back together might give us a clue as to our killer's identity. And what the heck? That sign has our victim's face on it, Matthew, and it's crossed out in red. Why would someone have painted Kayla's face on a sign? Backing up some of that blue substance should tell us. As for that cell phone, it's anyone's guess who it might belong to, but if it's here, we must look into it. Let's unlock it.
And to prevent windblown erosion from further damaging the environment, DLNR designated 4 other states to provide water for diversified agriculture along the central plain.
Right?
The public is invited to a community meeting for the two-day transportation project. The meeting held in Ohio is the constructed 769, and as a result of the unsigned conference details, the project is set to run the transportation needs and issues.
The local free revolution
Keep out thief. Oh, and that sign was going to work.
local foods to public school cafeterias across the state. As currently official,
Matthew, vacuuming up the substance from that sign reveals a message. Somebody wrote, "Keep out, thief," next to our victim's face. Matthew, somebody must have known what Kayla was up to here in these ruins. And putting that substance from the sign under the microscope might tell us who.
Starting tomorrow. During the competition, they'll be tested on their knowledge of current events, as well as leadership values and skills. The teams are from high school out of over 1,500 teams from around the world. The actor, Brandy, he'll be joining us live now from the newsroom. Brandy.
To end those skills today with another locally shot news commercial. We'll hear from competitive sports, but first, Brain on the radar and there's more on the way. He's back with a live body forecast after the break.
Digging dust. That substance you collected from the sign was something called digging dust, Matthew. Apparently, it's a cleaning powder used by archaeologists to remove dirt from historical objects without damaging them. We've only met one person who might use such a product, and that's Bruno Camper. Bruno swore he had no idea who the victim was when he called in her murder, but obviously he was lying. We need to talk to him again, Matthew. Mr. Camper, you told us you didn't know our victim's identity. Yet we found a sign you made with her face on it calling her a thief. Well, what I told you wasn't entirely untrue. I didn't know her name. I just saw her on the site. A few days back, I stopped to take a break after I accidentally cut my right hand. I was about to disinfect it with a drop of whiskey from my flask when I noticed a girl. At first I thought she must have gotten separated from her tour group, but then I saw her grab an ancient vase and slip it into her backpack. I gave chase, but she got away. I put that sign up to shame her into never coming back. How dare she steal from my site? Well, if Senior Trooper Matthew discovers that you took more drastic action to keep her away, you'll spend the rest of your days behind bars, Mr. Camper. That's one. That was number 4. And now the torn cloth.
Now we connect you even faster with symmetrical high-speed internet. That's amazing upload speeds and download speeds match. With 100 minutes up and down. Get 300 minutes up and down. Don't you video chat, game, or share files. You want to freeze out, fall short, or mid
Matthew, that chloroform-soaked cloth is covered in hair. Hopefully Rupert can tell us if they belong to our killer.
Two homes in Ohio severely damaged after a microburst hit them last night. That's a microburst, a concentrated blast of rain that can shoot out of strong thunderstorms. Get this video's parallels in tornado.
Another 6 hours. Well, at least this time I'll be able to get the results in the morning. Kind of thought it would be a 12-hour wait. Well, let's see if this is a 12-hour wait. Oh no. 489. Oh no. F8B. Matthew, we're in luck. This cell phone belonged to our victim. Kathy will tell us if there's something of interest on it. Let's send her the cell phone. And this is 12 hours. Okay. See you guys when that's done. See y'all then. Hi, I guess we're back, and it's now time to get the results of the victim's cell phone from Kathy first. Your victim's cell phone gave me a serious case of wanderlust, Matthew. She has pictures from all around the globe. Her job might have been morally dubious, but I'd be tempted to rob tombs myself if it meant I could see the world. I'm not sure what Alex would say about that, Kathy. Anyway, did you find anything useful on that cell phone? I sure did. Your victim was messaging someone called Laura Crosby. The messages started off friendly enough, though they were too cryptic for me to figure out what they were talking about. But Laura's messages got angrier and angrier, with the last one demanding that Kayla hand over Laura's share of the profits. Laura's share of the profits? Matthew, this can only mean one thing. Laura was involved in our victim's tomb robbing business. I think it's time we spoke to Miss Crosby again, don't you, Matthew? Let's see what she has to say. Miss Crosby, the game's up. We know that you were an accomplice in Kayla Markham's tomb robbing. Did you kill her because she didn't hold up her end of the deal? How did you find out about that, Senior Trooper Matthew? Well, I suppose there's no point in trying to hide it anymore. I'm the one who told Kayla how to get into the site after hours. Kayla promised that once she'd sold the artifacts, she'd split the profits with me. But I didn't see a penny of it. I realized she just used me to get access to the site. She never intended to give me my share of the money. I'd have given her the back of my right hand if I'd seen her. Instead, I settled for drowning my sorrows in a bottle of whiskey. Let's hope that's all you did, Miss Crosby. Either way, Senior Trooper Matthew is taking you into custody for your part in Kayla's crimes. Now the chloroform-soaked cloth. Rupert, what did you find on that cloth covered in chloroform? Well, it's certainly the cloth that your killer used on the victim. I found her skin cells on it. But what was more interesting were those hairs on the cloth. I put them under the microscope, and I realized that the hairs weren't human. They came from a cat. But as there were no traces of cat hair on your victim's body, it must be your killer who left those hairs on the cloth. So our killer owns a cat, eh? Well, I'm positive you'll have our cat-loving killer behind bars soon enough, Matthew. And you're right. Laura Crosby mentioned having a cat when we spoke to her earlier. I'll note it down. Matthew, this case is getting more complicated by the minute. We've learned that our victim was a tomb robber who raided Xerda ruins and sold the artifacts on the black market. But we're no closer to learning who left her dead on an altar with her heart cut out. It was a shock to learn that Kayla was the niece of Ray Parker, the chief's husband, but he claims he had no idea about her tomb robbing activities. Antique dealer Hazel Galloway knew exactly what the victim was doing. However, she was buying stolen Xerda artifacts from the victim to sell in her shop. Tour guide Laura Crosby was also in on the scheme. She gave Kayla access to the site in exchange for a share of the profits, which she never received. We have several people in custody for their involvement in the victim's crimes, but... Matthew, what's that commotion? It sounds like it's coming from the chief's office. Diane, please, let us talk about this. I want you out of my station, Ray. You lied to me. Oh boy. Don't want to get her mad. And we'll get to chapter 3 soon. Welcome back, folks. Let's start chapter 3 of I Lost My Heart in Xerda. Yep. This is where we last left on. Diane, please, let us talk about this. I want you out of my station, Ray. You lied to me. I didn't lie about Kayla. I just didn't tell you the whole truth. You withheld information from a police investigation. You knew your niece was a tomb robber. I just... Sorry to interrupt, but if you know more about your niece than you let on, Mr. Parker, we need to talk to you. See what he has to say now. Mr. Parker, is it true that you knew that Kayla was a tomb robber and you didn't tell us? Yes, I was aware of Kayla's illicit activities, but I didn't have the heart to turn her in, Senior Trooper Matthew. Betraying my late sister's daughter would have been an insult to her memory. So you just let her gallivant around the world, stealing whatever she wanted? I tried to convince Kayla to stop. I said she'd end up getting herself arrested or worse, killed. But she just laughed and said that she was more agile than my cat, so she'd never get caught. She was completely out of control. If you couldn't control Kayla and you couldn't turn her in, here's hoping you didn't resort to the final solution, murder. Matthew, I want to believe Mr. Parker's innocent. Think how the chief must feel knowing her husband hid information about their niece. Anyway, you're right. We must focus. You think we should return to the antique store where Kayla offloaded her goods? Then let's go. Teddy bear. I didn't think just a chess piece on that one. Okay, another 10,000. This teddy bear certainly isn't an antique, Matthew. And look, it's holding a note addressed to our victim. Let's recover that faded message to see what it says. And that CCTV camera might have picked up something useful. Can you unlock it? Quick, Matthew, let's get to work. Kayla, you found your way into my heart. That's gotta be from Bruno. The note on this teddy reads, Kayla, you found your way into my heart. Matthew, this is a love note to our victim, but who wrote this to her? You're right. Comparing the handwriting to samples in our database might tell us. This one is easy. Nope, Hazel Galloway, wow. So the author of this romantic note to our victim was Hazel Galloway, the antique store owner. Hazel confessed to buying stolen goods from Kayla, but she didn't mention being in love with her. Let's visit Hazel in custody and ask why she lied. Miss Galloway, why did you fail to mention being in a relationship with our victim? Senior Trooper Matthew has found the teddy you gifted her. I didn't mention it because we weren't in a relationship. I never got around to telling Kayla how I felt. I plan to give her that teddy today. So did you fall in love with her before or after you started illegally buying Xerda artifacts from her? After. Kayla was so brave and interesting. She told me stories of her travels, and I was totally captivated. I'm used to having to hear about customers' boring lives while I try to make a sale, like that archaeologist who always goes on about his stupid cat. But Kayla was different. She brought excitement into my life, and now she's gone. I'd give my right hand to see her again. My gut says no, that Hazel Galloway's not the killer, but we'll see what the evidence points us to. Nine 7-2 548. Whew. Let's get that CCTV camera you unlocked to Kathy, Matthew. That's gonna do. Nine hours, and I'll see you guys when that's done. And we're back. Let's get the results of the CCTV footage now. Was there anything useful on that CCTV camera from the antique store, Kathy? There sure was. You're going to want to see this, Matthew.
Safety comes first. Alicia's Xerda on the news.
Animals trapped in the lower zone continue to develop, but the Americans decided to protect the animals. The very left of the Valley Island remains a story. They started the recovery efforts left. So far, more than 250 animals have been.
Well, that didn't say much, other than who was on there. Matthew, did we just witness the holier-than-thou Stephen Crow shoplifting a book? Well, he tried. but the shop owner saw him and made him pay for it in the end. And the title of the book Mr. Crow so wanted is Ritualistic Human Sacrifices Most Foul. It's a sort of how-to guide for human sacrifices. So Stephen Crow is interested in human sacrifices. Could Mr. Crow have made the jump from theory to practice by killing our victim, Matthew? Let's ask him.
He's helping evacuees rebuild their homes. His name is the official medic of
Mr. Crow, you claim not to care about material possessions, but we found footage of you trying to steal a book. Knowledge belongs to us all, Senior Trooper Matthew. It should be shared freely, like whiskey among friends. Cut it out, Mr. Crow. You read a book about human sacrifice just before Kayla Markham had her heart cut out on a sacrificial altar. What were you doing with that book? Did you study its contents and then put it into practice? It is our duty to educate ourselves about the ways of our ancestors. They have much to teach us about appeasing the divine messenger. But I did not kill anyone. Sacrifice displeases the higher powers if it is forced upon an unwilling soul. Well, if we discover you killed Kayla, you'll feel the full weight of the law.
Everybody in the United States, please. Let everybody know. Get out of here right now.
Matthew, the further we get into this investigation, the clearer it gets that people have been lying to us left, right, and center. Not only have we learned that Hazel Galloway had feelings for the victim, but we also discovered that Ray Parker knew his niece was a true robber and didn't tell us. And that's not even mentioning cult leader Stephen Crow, who's been reading up on human sacrifices. If we're going to crack this murder, we need more leads, and fast. You think we should return to the scene of the crime, Matthew? Then let's go.
Who just so happens to be Marshall's uncle, son, calling Kaka a jack of all trades.
And he does a terrific job in stepping forward, taking action, wanting to help the community in a real, tangible way. And he organizes everybody.
He's also
a lot of kooky people in this case.
The most up-to-date information to Governor David Lee, the first eruption to Marshall's Facebook page. That was the first news that I heard that the eruption actually started and was happening. The lava is actually raging. As for his day job, Marzo owns his own business called Kalapana Cultural Tours. This is Marzo recalls how it all began. Just shy of turning 20, opportunity came knocking while his grandfather was looking for someone to show them lava.
A weird short slippers and t-shirt. So they get a little thing in his hand.
Okay, let's see. Yep, that mountain rock is a clue. Chloroform bottle. Bluebird.
The next day, 20 more visitors showed up. The number
Rope.
Eventually, Marzo had hired 80 plus employees. Many of them
Wire and a belt. 7.
It's time to volunteer.
It takes a village to take care of it. It takes a community to take care of our community. So, the community is huge.
Marzo says he's in this for the long haul. And on some nights, residents need something to make them smile again.
Is that a bottle of chloroform you picked up, Matthew? You're right. It must be the one our killer used to knock Kayla out before the murder. Let's grab a sample of those flakes on the bottle. And if you think we might find something among those rocks, let's get searching. It's time to get to the heart of the matter.
76 of Bar Hawaii has already donated $10,000 in gas cards plus toiletries for the American Red Cross to distribute. For continuing coverage from the Big Island, the Kilo Whale threat. Stay with Island and go there online using our mobile app or mass social media. Hawaii County Council is there for a special meeting.
Alright.
Discussing an increase in
let's skip this. Oh, they were close to each other. Pink flakes. Let's get those flakes from the killer's chloroform bottle to the lab, Matthew. This is 15 hours. So I'll get this done. Bloody paper. Weird. This paper you found among the rocks is covered in blood, Matthew. What do you think is inside? Arrgh! Matthew, it's a heart. The killer must have wrapped the heart up and hidden it here after the murder. I don't feel so good. Let's get this heart to Rupert before I throw up. Yeesh. We'll get the results of both of these tomorrow. So for now, it's Matthew's. Alright folks, we have returned. And let's get the results of the pink flakes. We're on the home stretch, Amir. What can you tell us about those flakes Matthew collected from the killer's chloroform bottle? Well, those pink flakes are skin cells your killer left on the bottle. But the sample was so small, it was hard to extract any DNA. Don't tell me you've got nothing for us. Well, I eventually managed to isolate a pair of XY chromosomes, so I can tell you that you're looking for a male killer. So our killer is a man, eh? Little does he know how close we are to catching him, Matthew. Ray Parker is looking good for it. Matthew, next time you send me a human body part, please give me some warning. I nearly spat out my tea when I saw it. We're sorry to have spoiled your morning tea, Rupert, but what can you tell us about the heart? Is it the one which was cut out of the victim's chest? The heart does indeed belong to your victim. Obviously, it still contained a large amount of her blood. But after close examination, I managed to identify traces of foreign A-negative blood on the heart, too. Matthew, your killer must have cut themselves with their knife as they were cutting your victim's heart out, and they left traces of their A-negative blood on it. So our killer has A-negative blood, do they? They'll be feeling negative once they're behind bars, Matthew. Matthew, we've gathered all the evidence we need to arrest Kayla Markham's killer. Let's do this. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's not Ray Parker. No surprise, it was Bruno Camper. Mr. Camper, you're under arrest for the murder of Kayla Markham. Did you kill Kayla because you found her stealing? Is that it? I was annoyed that she stole, but I'm not a woman. I wouldn't have gotten hysterical enough to murder someone over it. Funny you keep mentioning gender, because the skin cells we found on your chloroform bottle pointed us to the fact that the killer is a man, namely you. This is preposterous. Xerda is the biggest archaeological discovery of the century. Do you really think I'd compromise the dig by killing someone there? Then how do you explain the fact that we found traces of your whiskey on the knife you used to cut her heart out? So I enjoy a glass of whiskey, Senior Trooper Matthew. That's not a crime. Cut the act, Mr. Camper. We found traces of your blood on the victim's heart. Why did you cut it out? Was it some sort of sacrifice? Fine, I killed her, but she should have known better than to just waltz back into my life after everything she did to me. Everything Kayla did to you. You told us you didn't even know her. I lied. Kayla was my ex-wife. What? You were married to Kayla? We met while I was on a dig in Egypt a few years ago, when she was calling herself Zara Loft. We had a whirlwind romance, and I thought I'd met the perfect woman, ready to tend to my every need. So we got married, but 3 months later, Kayla absconded with a handful of invaluable treasures from the dig. Not only was I heartbroken, but I also got kicked off the project because the boss assumed I was in on the theft. I've hated women ever since. When I saw Kayla outside the sacrificial chamber, I knew she'd come back to ruin my life all over again. I couldn't let her do it, Senior Trooper Matthew. Kayla betrayed me, so I sacrificed her the way Xerdans dealt with traitors, by removing her heart. The sensible solution would have been to call the authorities, Mr. Kemper. Instead, you're under arrest for her murder. Mr. Kemper, you stand accused of murdering Kayla Markham. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor. I couldn't face her coming back to ruin my life a second time. Mr. Kemper, most people respond to heartbreak by listening to sad songs or going to therapy, not by cutting their ex's heart out. Kayla deserves everything she had coming to her. Given your clear lack of remorse and the brutality of your crime, this court hereby sentences you to life in prison, Mr. Kemper. I'll never finish my work on Xerda now, and it's all Kayla's fault. Matthew, I didn't like Bruno Kemper the first time we met him, but I never suspected he'd be capable of cutting somebody's heart out. And I thought my divorce from my ex-wife was bad. Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm afraid I owe you an apology. I should have known better than to hide information from you. It was such a terrible shock that Kayla had died. I wasn't thinking straight. I'll consider accepting your apology, Ray. You better come to my office to talk. And Matthew, it's not yet time for you to relax. We need to turn our attention to that cult and whatever they're planning. Take a look at the other ones. Stephen Crow, cleared from the start. Laura Crosby, woman. Hazel Galloway, cleared early. Ray Parker, B negative blood. It was Bruno Kemper, but I'm not surprised. I'll see you guys for the moment of truth, 5-6. And it's now time to start the moment of truth, 5-6. Matthew, Kayla's murder has been tough on Ray and me, but I'm relieved you found the culprit. I know Ray has already apologized for hiding her tomb robbing antics from you, and I'd like to apologize too. It was unprofessional of us to argue about her in the office. But now it's time to turn our attention to the higher truth. We know that the cult is recruiting members and encouraging them to give up their worldly possessions. Gabriel's infiltrated the cult, and he told us they've got something big planned, but we don't yet know. Hang on, that's my phone. Chief Parker speaking. Chief, I don't have long. I need Matthew to meet me at Church Street as soon as possible. Matthew, this sounds urgent. You better meet Gabriel at once. Take Gloria with you. Matthew, I need to talk to you too. I'll be waiting in the break room. What shall we do first, Matthew? Meet with Gabriel or see what Jones wants? Matthew, remember how I told you that I'd learned the cult has something big planned? Yes. Have you discovered what it is? Not yet, but the cult leader is going to announce it tonight. He's gathering his most loyal followers at the sacrificial chamber to unveil his big plan. Excellent. We're finally getting the answers we want. Yes, but we have a problem. To attend the meeting, we've been ordered to achieve a heightened state of connection with the universe. By allowing ourselves to be bitten by the bugs which come out after dark in the Xerdan ruins, a single bite causes vivid hallucinations. But I can't risk having hallucinations, Matthew. If I lose control like that, I might blow my cover. Then what you need is an antidote. If we find one of those bugs, I'm sure Rupert will be able to whip something up. Let's look around those ruins, Matthew. I wonder if this thing is a clue. Oh no, wait. Sword, flower. Look, the log is a clue. There we go. I was hoping 100,000 extra XP. Matthew, you're right. That log is crawling with bugs. These must be the hallucination-inducing insects Gabriel told us about. You better grab one of those critters from that log. Just don't get bitten. We are. Let's get this bug you collected off the log to Rupert, Matthew. If he can make an antidote, Gabriel will be able to listen to the cult leader's announcement without hallucinating. This is 9 hours. Matthew, you've got to help me. It's Zoe. What happened, Jones? She's moving into my place, so I went to the antique store for her to pick out some pieces to put her touch on the place. She'd been distracted all morning, but when I suggested buying another deer head clock, she went mad. Zoe said I had no taste in home decor and stormed out of the house and stormed out of the store in tears. By the time I got out onto the street, she was gone. I don't know what's going on, Matthew. Surely she can't have been that upset by my choice of interior design. Whatever caused Zoe to storm off, we can't leave her to roam the streets alone after everything she's been through, Matthew. We need to find her. Exactly. You think retracing our steps might lead us to her, Matthew? Then we need to return to the antique store. I'll pay for the cab. Alright. Zoe's bag. Matthew, that's Zoe's handbag. She must have left it behind when she stormed out. You think going through her bag might tell us where she went? I don't like the idea, but we don't have a choice. Matthew, I agree. At this point, we better send Zoe's tablet that you found in her handbag to Kathy. Hopefully it'll shed some light on Zoe's whereabouts. I'll see you guys when these two are done. Okay, glowing bug is finished. Let's see if we can keep Gabriel immune. Rupert, did you manage to produce an antidote for those hallucination-inducing bugs the cult's intended to get bitten by? I think so, but I need a test subject. And Amir volunteered himself for the task. Matthew, your hair, it's made of snakes. What a great look on you. Is Amir going to be okay, Rupert? Oh yes. The effects will wear off rapidly enough once he gets the antidote. Hold still, Amir. Whoa! That was freaky, Matthew. I could have sworn you had snakes for hair, but I wasn't the tiniest bit scared. That fearlessness must be the effect the cult leader wants the bugs to induce in his followers. Now we know the antidote works. Let's get it to Gabriel so he can listen to the cult's announcement without hallucinating, Matthew. Alright. Oh, great. Now it's not responding. Okay, it's working now. Now let's talk to Gabriel. Gabriel, here's the antidote. Take it and you won't be affected by the bug's hallucinogenic venom when the cult leader makes his announcement. Phew! Thanks, Matthew. Whatever the cult leader's going to announce, it must be big if he needs his followers to be drugged up before they hear it. Speaking of which, Gabriel, it's imperative that we hear Stephen's announcement in the sacrificial chamber as it happens. If it's as big as we expect, we'll need to act on it ASAP. But I can't wear a wire, Matthew. It's too risky. Then what are we supposed to do? We need to hear that announcement. Matthew, you think we might find something that we can hide a camera in? Then let's check out the sacrificial chamber. Gabriel, you should grab something to eat. You've got a long night ahead of you. Okay, now this is of bigger importance. That's what I did first. we are. Aha! Broken skull. Okay, flashlight footprint. Whew! But then again, I didn't need to because I already have the lucky find here after I get all the stars. Matthew, why'd you pick up that broken skull? It must have been down here for centuries. Oh. Oh, you think you could hide a camera inside to film the cult's announcement? Then let's put it back together. Excuse me, folks. Another video I was watching, but please disregard that. Don't even ask about it, too. Now you put the skull back. Now you've put the skull back together. We just need to place a camera inside. Perfect. The higher truth will have no idea that we're watching their gathering. Now let's get out of here before anybody sees us, Matthew, and wait for the event to start. Alright, now let's get Zoe's tablet out of the way. Kathy, did Zoe's tablet indicate where she might have gone after she stormed off? Yes, but this won't be easy for you to hear, Jones. Zoe was keeping a digital journal. She used it to document her recovery from amnesia. She's tired of feeling like you're walking on eggshells around her, Jones. She knows you do it because you care, but she wants to prove she's not a victim. Oh no. I didn't realize I ever made her feel that way. Did she say what she was going to do? Well, she doesn't specify in her journal, but I noticed another folder on her tablet. And it's dedicated entirely to Marconi. Zoe's compiled pages of notes on it. Zoe was researching Marconi? Marconi is the only person Zoe remembers from when she was missing, so that must be why she was looking into him. We never did find any connection between them. Well, the last thing she wrote was that she was ready to confront him. What? Zoe went to confront Marconi? But why now? Why today? We better go speak with Marconi. Hopefully Zoe will be there. See what he has to say. Tell me what they did to me. Wait, what are you talking about? I don't even know who you are. You're lying. I'm not leaving here until you tell me what those doctors did. Doctors? Maybe you need a head doctor. What's going on here? Ask the crazy woman, Detective Jones. She stormed in here and started attacking me. Zoe's not crazy, and clearly you stir up some bad memories for her. But don't worry, we're leaving. Zoe, take some deep breaths. We're taking you home so you can tell us what's going on. So let's see what she has to say. Zoe, I've been worried sick since you stormed off. What's going on? What made you go confront Marconi? I'm sorry, but I was doing my yoga nidra this morning when I recalled something that happened to me while I was missing. It was so horrible, David. I had this memory of being strapped to a chair surrounded by people in lab coats. Zoe, that's awful. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to worry you, but I needed answers. Marconi's the only person I remember from when I was missing, so I figured he must know something. Was Marconi there in your memory of the people in lab coats? Well, no. He really did look like he didn't know anything. Zoe, I promise we'll get to the bottom of what happened to you, but in the meantime, it's best you stay away from Marconi. I'm so sorry, David. I'm such a mess. Are you sure you still want me to move in? I've never been sure of anything, Zoe. I love you. Matthew, Zoe and I need a few minutes alone. We'll catch up with you later. Oh, and take this as thanks for your help. Matthew, Zoe's still shaken by her memory of people standing over her in lab coats, but she's finally calmed down. Honestly, I'm pretty freaked out by it too. What could those people have been doing to her, Matthew? I'm certain of one thing, though. Zoe and I won't stop until we learn what happened to her. And we'll be with you every step of the way, Jones. On another note, Gabriel's informed us that the cult leader intends to make a big announcement to his followers. And he wants his followers to be drugged up before they hear it. Lucky for us, we've hidden a camera so we can watch the announcement live. Speaking of which, the camera's just picked up movement. Let's tune in. Fellow Seekers, I welcome you as my kindred souls, united in our quest to reach the higher truth and bask in the light of its wisdom. We have long believed that the divine messenger, which has opted to take the form of a satellite, would speak to us directly. And it has spoken to me. The divine messenger instructed us to prepare for the release of our earthly bodies. This will involve shedding our earthly bodies, so that our souls may ascend to the higher truth. At the appointed hour, we shall drink a tea made from hemlock leaves. Our bodies will die, but our spirits will rise to a new plane of existence. You have 2 days to prepare yourselves for this ascension. As long as your faith in the truth is steadfast, the release will be quick and painless. Uh-oh. Matthew, did the cult leader just suggest that his followers commit mass suicide? This goes way beyond the money-making scheme we thought he was running. He's encouraging his followers to take their own lives. But why? We already know the cult members are heavily indoctrinated. There's a good chance they'll go along with this plan. There's no time to waste, Matthew. We must stop this madness. Let's go arrest Stephen Crow for inciting suicide. So that's it then. And if my guess is right, the next case will be open on the 28th. Let's find out. Is it on the 28th? Yes, it is. But let's see what other sticker packs I have. Four new ones. Two rare ones. There are two stickers that I don't have. Four new ones. Okay. Okay. And we have a cult leader, now that that's all taken care of, we have a cult leader to arrest, but we're not going to do that until June 28th. So I'm going to get my daily reward. Okay, there you go. And my guess is we're probably going to be going to Maple Heights next. But we'll see. But join me on June 28th when we arrest Stephen Crow. Don't go anywhere. See y'all later.